I haven't seen it.
Nisha Cunningham, please report to the dais.
You did? Let me refresh.
That's okay, Nisha. Thank you.
Y'all ready to get this party started?
Mr. Clerk, ready? I call to order the City Council meeting on this October 26, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Wilson? Here. Councilman Stevens?
Here.
Councilwoman Julian?
Here.
Councilwoman Ighodaro?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Present.
Vice Mayor Leon? Here. Mayor Harris?
I'm present.
Mayor, you have
Please-
quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Gracious God, we thank you for your grace and mercy towards us. We thank you for your many blessings that you continue to bestow upon us. Father, we ask now that you give us your knowledge, your wisdom, and your understanding as we prepare to discuss business that affect your people. Father, we ask that you open up your windows of heaven and continue to reign on this great city that we call Miami Gardens. We ask to bless the residents, its leadership, stakeholders, everyone that has something to do with the city. In all things, we promise to give you all the praise, honor, and glory that your precious name deserves. It is in your Son's name I do pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. All right, Mr. Clerk, do we have any minutes that need to be approved?
Yeah, we did have the October 12th, 2022 minutes forwarded to the council. They're on the dais before you for your approval.
I need a motion on the minutes.
Motion on the minute.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show the minutes approved. We're on order of business. Are there any items that need to be added, deleted, withdrawn?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I have a couple things. For special presentations, we have item 6.2 that needs to be added. It was inadvertently omitted from the agenda. It's the employee of the quarter presented by the city manager. The next one is we have two add-on items that was forwarded to council. Add-on item number 1, sponsored by Councilwoman Campbell in support of the Robert Parker Foundation. Without objection, we're asking that that item be added to the consent agenda as item 11.12. And then the next one is add-on item number 2, sponsored by Vice Mayor Reggie Leon, related to Palmetto Homes project. Without objection, we ask that that item be added to the consent agenda as item 11.13.
Need a motion to add these items to the agenda.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Show them added.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to pull item 11.5.
11.5.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to pull item 11.6, I don't know if I necessarily need to pull it for discussion, but I'd like to co-sponsor it along with the city manager.
All right, 11.5.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll go ahead and note that co-sponsor
Yeah.
for 11.6. If we keep it on the consent agenda, we'll just have it duly.
That'll be
noted.
fine. Just add him as a co-sponsor of the item.
Thank you.
Any other items need to be pulled or added? 11.10. Any others? All right, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Show the agenda adopted. I don't think I did that right.
We need to, go ahead
We
and
need
call
to
the
vote
roll.
on it. Call the roll.
You can do a voice vote on that.
Voicemail, or vote.
All those in favor?
Tough night. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none. Show the agenda passes.
All right, now we're on to special presentation, item 6.1, special presentation by Mayor Rodney Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I would ask my colleagues to please come down to the podium with me. Notice, it's been almost 10 years that I've been a member of this council. And in that time, every event that took place in the city of Miami Gardens, there was always two faces that we always saw. And that was Pastor Tim and his wife, Miss Betty. We had an opportunity to say our goodbyes at her memorial service, but I saw it only fitting that we give her a sympathy resolution or present you with a sympathy resolution here in front of your peers and in front of our council, in front of those that love you and loved Miss Betty. So Mr. Tim, if you would please come to the front if you can. If you can't, you can stay right there and we'll stand up here and we'll come to you. But I would like for Councilwoman Campbell to come up and read the sympathy resolution.
And the resolution reads, the City of Miami Gardens expressing sympathy to the family of Betty S. Fanese Williams. Whereas on behalf of the City of Miami Gardens and our 113,000 residents, we extend our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Betty S. Fanese Williams. And whereas Betty was born on January 6, 1952 in Shadyville, Georgia. She was the oldest daughter born to Nash Davis and Liddy Mae Sanders. The family later moved to South Florida, and Betty went on to attend and graduate from Miami Carroll City Senior High School. Betty furthered her education at the Florida Memorial College, where she received her bachelor's degree. And whereas Betty touched the lives of many in our community, especially through her work at Landmark Learning Center, she was fluent in sign language, and that skill was crucial to her role at work and her ability to make differences in the lives of her clients. And whereas Betty also loved to volunteer throughout the city of Miami Gardens, she advocated the rights of citizens to vote in all elections and volunteered for the delivery of meals to seniors during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic with her husband, Pastor Williams. Betty was a lead instructor for the Carroll City Steppers and Buccaneer Boosters and was the first lady of the Gospel Way Baptist Church. And whereas though Betty has departed from this earth, she is still alive in our hearts and minds. And through us, she lives on. Betty S. Fanese Williams will be missed but never forgotten, but by all those who love and care for her. And now, therefore, Mayor Rodney Harris, along with my colleagues, our colleagues, the City Council, Vice Mayor Reginald Leon, myself, Shannon Campbell, Shannon Igadora, Katrina Wilson, Linda Julian, and Robert Stevens III. The City of Miami Gardens celebrates the life of Betty S. Fanese Williams.
One other quick presentation, not really a presentation, but would the junior council come up, please? I just wanted our council to see the junior council and let them introduce themselves and where they go to school at. Introduce yourself first. Say where you go to school.
Good afternoon. My name is Joy Joseph, and I go to Miami Carroll City Senior High School, and I'm in 11th grade. Good afternoon. My name is Joy Joseph. I'm a junior, and I attend Miami Carroll City Senior High School.
Good afternoon. My name is Shanala Hightower. I attend Miami Carroll City Senior High School, and I'm a senior.
Good afternoon. My name is Anasia Davis. I am also a junior, and I attend Miami Carroll City Senior High School.
Good afternoon. My name is Bernaya Stephenson. I attend Miami Carroll City also, and I am a junior.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina McDermott. I attend Miami Carroll City Senior High, and I'm in 11th grade.
All right, now I got a question to Nisha. Where's the guys at?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
There's two guys. They couldn't make it tonight? Okay, all right. Well, this will be our junior council for this upcoming year. So they will work closely with your offices, and we're looking for big things out of them this year. So congratulations, guys.
What if I can?
I don't know. Conspiracy. All right, the next item is item 6.2. Special presentation by the city manager, employee of the quarter.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Manager, before you start, I want to recognize another individual that's here. Our state representative, Mr. Christopher Benjamin. State Rep, if you would like to say just a few words, you're welcome to do so. If not, ladies and gentlemen, that's our state representative, Christopher Benjamin. It's your show, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. I'm going to have Ms. Evening come down and do the reading on the employee of the quarter.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Evening Musalera, the Strategic Communication and Training Specialist at the City of Miami Gardens. The All-Star Award is to publicly acknowledge individuals who go above and beyond their duties. And based on nominations received internally, this quarter's All-Star Award recipient is Miss Aisha Butte. I'd like to invite Ms. Butte and her mother, along with you, Mayor and council members, and the City Manager Benson to receive her awards. Thank you.
Okay. Aisha is responsible for all the flyers you guys see that come out of the city. She's the person that's responsible for that. One other quick presentation. Miss Betty was also a member of the Super Soul Steppers as well as the Carol City Park Steppers. So they wanted to take a picture with all of us again. So could you guys come back up? Linda.
Yeah, sanitizer. Sanitizer.
Yeah. And that's Chanel. Nothing in the Chanel.
All right, we're going to take a second to let them clear up.
Four. We got enough.
We got quorum.
We got a quorum still. I'm keeping count. All right, Mr. Mayor, we're now on to public comments.
All right. You have any written communication, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, I did receive written communication. That written communication has been forwarded to the City Council. It'll be part of the minutes. The written communication is from Mrs. Rhea Hughes.
All right, thank you.
I also have a few cards here. Ms. Gail Cunningham.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here to support the Brentwood community. We're all neighbors in all of our communities. On 11.7, it indicates that there's going to be a demolition of the Brentwood pool. And some of the interested and concerned neighbors in that neighborhood are trying right now to make sure that that area is a historic preservation. And they want to have an opportunity to speak before any action starts. So if they can be given that opportunity to speak, especially with the persons who actually put it together to try to make that area, that park, that pool, that entire area historic preservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham.
Everything, I don't have to say it this time. I didn't say my name and address. I'm good.
No, we got your name and address. We good. Miss Denise Brown.
My name is Denise Brown. I live in Miami Gardens. Good evening to.
We're going to need your address.
Oh,
for
19821 Northwest 2nd Avenue. Good evening, Mayor Harris, and to all the council and people that are present. I'm a Live Free organizer in Miami Gardens, and I organize around gun violence and other issues in the community that suppress and oppress our people. My main reason for coming tonight is that I'm very disappointed with the handling of the Miami Gardens Police Department, the way they handled a situation involving myself this morning. The more I try to build relationships with people in the community to have trust in the police, the more I become disappointed, and it makes my job that much more harder. This morning I was driving and I was stopped by the police, unbeknownst to me. Why? Because I try to abide by the law and not break any laws. So when he pulled me over, he got out of his vehicle. He said, "Your name is Denise Brown?" I said, "Yes." What did I do? He told me that I hadn't done anything. So I said, "Well, why am I being stopped?" He stopped me at 8 o'clock in the morning for the mere fact that I had a covering over my tag, over my license plate, the same covering I've had for over 7 years. And I got this covering just to protect my tag from being stolen and to protect my plate from the elements of the weather here in Florida. My son liked the tag so much that he actually asked me where he could purchase it. He purchased one at the auto parts store and he put it on his vehicle. He's had it for over 4 years. I had no idea that this was against the law in the state of Florida, which I don't think I'm above the law.
Ms. Brown, I have someone speak with you. Chief, can you have someone speak with Ms. Brown? Thank you. Linda Mobley.
Hello, good afternoon to the mayor and the council person, everyone in their prospective places. My name is Linda Mobley. I live at 3261 Northwest 213th Street, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33056. I'm here to do a presentation to Councilperson Shannon Campbell with North County Citizen Association. Would everybody stand, the ones on the red shirts, please? Shannon, could you come down here, please? Our organization have been operating for over 22 years in Seat 1. And we want to honor you today and every day. You are the person that we can count on for any and everything. You have a professional relationship with us and a personal relationship with us. You are the type of person that asks us, what do we want? And once you find out, you make it happen. And I can share things with you. When I tell you something, I can say, you respond. A matter of fact, she's responsible for taking the seniors fishing. She started that with us, and it was a great ordeal that she did with us. The toy drive. She was working on the toy drive before she was on the council.
Excuse me, Ms. Mobley. Could somebody turn off their phone? Okay. No problem, no problem.
And I had the pleasure to invite her to support the Urban Construction Academy. Craft Academy was dealing with young men, and it was awesome. And she didn't hesitate to come and join us. She's the type of person that deals with the youth programs, seminars, and workshops to help people become entrepreneurs. She makes donations to different organizations that's needed. We want to let you know that we love you, we support you, and we know you love us. And we will always be there to go through whatever you go through, the good times and the bad times. So we want to present this to you, and it states, North County Citizen Association, Inc., 1993, Miami Gardens, Florida, presented to Councilwoman Shannon Campbell in recognition of your devoted, valuable, and faithful service to our community association. Your dedication has proven to all the citizens within the community. We love you and appreciate you sincerely. May God blessing continue to be with you. North County Citizen Association, Inc., Natalie E. Oates, Esquire, President, Reverend Carlos Jackson, Vice President, Directors, Eloise W. Jackson, Linda Mobley, Rusty Oates, and Willie P. Stevens on October the 26th, 2022. Everybody who can walk and come from outdoor.
Wow, I was not ready for this. So I just got to address, I truly am honored to receive this from the North County Citizens Association. I'm appreciative. And one thing I will say that I do know is that the anointing is on my life. And, and I don't hesitate to do what needs to be done for the people. That's truly how I am. And I'm going to continue to do what I do within the city of Miami Gardens and abroad if God leads me that way. So I thank you guys, and let's keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine Malcolm.
Christine Malcolm, 18910 Northwest 31st Avenue, Miami Gardens, 33056. Cities aren't only made up of shiny and new buildings, but also the old and sturdy structures that have captured a historic moment in time. 61 years ago, on August 30th, 1961, the Miami Herald published a photograph. The caption, Brentwood Park Palladium. The Palladium encompassed the swimming pool, little league field, basketball, tennis, and handball courts, and a pool house that would become part of a well-known architectural style known as Miami Modern. Last week, the Historical Preservation Department of Miami-Dade County was at North Dade Regional Library. Their mission was to note and possibly preserve structures that were built between 1941 and 1981. I noted Brentwood Pool House, and they stated that it was on their radar. Currently, there are only two structures in Miami-Dade County, Miami-Dade Historic Preservation in Miami Gardens, the Enrico Farmhouse and the Sunshine State Arch. A few months ago, I asked a city representative via a Zoom meeting, community meeting, what is the status of Brentwood Park and could residents be a part of the decision with that park? I didn't really get a response. Last month at Councilwoman Wilson's meeting, everyone in attendance was asked to note areas of concern. Myself and a few others noted Brentwood Park. Tonight, agenda item 11.7 could possibly mark the demise of the building, and that would be a travesty. Instead of spending $255,000 to tear down the building and pool, $112,000 to bring in a standalone fitness court per agenda item 11.8, why not spend that money and rehab the structure? People visit South Beach for Art Deco, folks visit Opelika for the Moorish structure. And if we think outside the box, the people wouldn't only come here for games and music, but also to marvel at the many Miami modern structures, such as Brentwood Pool House, that make up this city. And I would love to have I would like to request a survey be given to the community on what they think about the park and what can be done in the parks in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to talk about code enforcement. First of all, I had a problem with the Winn-Dixie cart that was in front of my house. I live at 1810 Northwest 152 Terrace, across the street from Rainbow Park School. There was a Winn-Dixie cart that was parked in front of my house for over a month. I called code enforcement, I called Winn-Dixie, and no one did anything. And people began to put trash in the cart. And not only that, it was trash coming, it was all around the cart. I would not move the cart, even though it was directly across from my swell on the sidewalk. I figured the school has cameras. I don't want them to think that I pushed it there. So I tried to get someone to do something about the cart from Winn-Dixie. It took a month. Finally, I called 311 and they told me it would take about 10 days, and it did. I don't know what is going on as far as those Winn-Dixie carts, like Burlington's. If you go to Burlington's, the cart, you can't push it outside of the store. Maybe we need to do that, because when I turned on the street behind me, there were two carts in somebody else's yard. So I never did hear from code enforcement when I called. Also, I came home and there was this violation notice on my gate. I have a pod unit in my driveway. We're doing some renovations, and so the furniture and the stuff that we had to remove, because we had our floors retiled. So all those things was put inside the pod. The violation notice says that I need to move the pod, and with the discarded items, There are no discarded items, and it's not like one of those train box carts. It's not something that's open. And according to the violation, it says I have open air. Communication, as I said, is a wonderful art. I just need them to return our calls, and all these small things can be rectified. I think code enforcement can do better.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
No, sir.
Showing that there's no other public comments. Public comments are closed. And Ms. Williams, someone would speak to you in a second, okay? All right, there's no ordinances on for first reading. No ordinances on for second reading. We're on the consent agenda.
Item 11.1, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds for Mayor Rodney Harris Public Affairs Special Events Account in an amount of $3,000 to support a community Thanksgiving dinner, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris. Item 11.2, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds from Councilwoman Shannon Campbell's Public Affairs Special Events Account in an amount of $500 in support of Antioch Missionary Baptist Church Thanksgiving Turkey Giveaway, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Shannon Campbell. Item 11.3, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds from Councilwoman Shannon Campbell's Special Events Account in an amount not to exceed $250 in support of the Elderly Affairs Advisory Committee Holiday Extravaganza, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Shannon Campbell. Item 11.4, resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds from Councilman Stevens Public Affairs Special Events Account in an amount not to exceed $2,000 in support of his National Authors Day Read-In and Book Fair, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman Robert Stevens III. Item 11.6, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing the Complete Streets Initiative and the development of a Complete Streets Manual, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is co-sponsored by Councilman Robert Stevens and the City Manager. Item 11.7, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, awarding a bid to Paragon Construction Unlimited, Inc. for demolition services related to Brentwood Pool in response to request for qualification RFQ number 19-20-004, authorizes the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement as needed for this purpose for an amount not to exceed $255,000, providing for adoption, $255,000 providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.8, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, accepting a $30,000 grant award from the National Fitness Campaign, NFC in Paren, a copy of which is attached here to Exhibit A, authorizing a match of funds in the amount of $112,350 with the grant for a combined total of $142,350 for the cost of the outdoor fitness court at Brentwood Park located at 18800 Northwest 28th Place. Authorize the city manager to execute any and all documents related to the acceptance of this award, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.9, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, accepting a $904,791 Year 5, October 1, 2022 to September 29, 2023 grant award, non-pro tunc, from the for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC in Paren, Racial and Ethnic Approaches to Community Health, REACH in Paren grant. Authorize the city manager to execute any and all documents related to the acceptance and of this award, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.11, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorize the city manager to terminate the A&E agreement with Mobile Boswick Design Partnership and negotiate and execute an agreement with Salonovsky Romnick Psy for the design of Risco Park, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.12, A resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds for Councilwoman Shannon Campbell's Public Affairs Special Events Account in an amount not to exceed $150 in support of the Robert Parker Foundation, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Shannon Campbell. Item 11.13, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds in an amount not to exceed 25% of the hard costs related to the development of infill program project for properties conveyed to Palmetto Homes by Miami-Dade County and located within the City of Miami Gardens. Authorize the city manager to negotiate an agreement for this purpose, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Vice Mayor Reggie Leon, and that is your consent agenda.
Need a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show the consent agenda passes.
All right, item 11.5, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing the purchase of that real property located at 15764 Northwest 27th Avenue, Miami Gardens, for an amount not to exceed $1,265,000 in accordance with that agreement of purchase attached to in substantial form as Exhibit A, provided for instructions to the city manager, city attorney, city clerk, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager.
And Councilwoman?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Julia?
Yes, thank you so much. I just had a few questions about this agenda item. So my first question is, I wanted to find out what the purpose, or I mean, what the vision for the purpose, what the vision for the purchase of this item is. I do notice that the land is situated between a storage facility, some homes in the back, and then a fast food restaurant.
Mr. Manager?
Hold on, Mr. Mayor, hold on, I'm writing down this one. Okay. You want to know the reason why we are purchasing, or you want to know what we plan to do with the property?
With the vision, yeah. What do you
Okay.
plan on doing with the property?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor?
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Julian, the reason why we are purchasing the property, there's a couple of things. One, as you are aware, we are in final negotiations and selling a piece of property, selling a piece of property to a vendor that you authorized us to do business with several months ago, and that's Crabman 305. After seeing the site and taking some time to put something together as far as what else can be done there, we came back to council and said, listen, there may be another opportunity or a grander opportunity for that area to blossom in some sort of way. So we enter into negotiations to purchase the current property that's before you today, with the thought that we may be able to use that property along with Crabman 305, and potentially in some soft discussions with the current site where Hooks is, that we could turn that site into something a little grander than what it is today. Additionally to that, Mayor, Council, Vice Mayor members, and Councilwoman Julian, there is a thought that if we're able to sort of control that site development, that could be a unique opportunity in the city of Miami Gardens. Now, I would tell you, as a city manager, I'm not one that really likes to buy private property to control development. We do that through our zoning. However, given the unique opportunity where that site sits, in addition to that, we are planning to come forward with a extension of the overlay district south of the Palmetto. Putting those things together, we believe that could be a spur of some economic development growth along that corridor in that site, in that area.
Thank you so much. My next question is, how did you guys come up with the price, the purchase price? How was that negotiated?
We had a broker. The broker worked with us on our behalf. The original ask price was 1.6, and we were able to get it down to the number that is in front of you.
Okay, I do see that. My concern about this purchase, this property, is that the property had been on the market for such a long time. So it was listed back in January, and between January and June, there's been 7 price changes within that time. We're now in October. So for me, it tells me that no one's really bid on this property for whatever reason. I'm not, and then it was pending sale back in May, and then that went left. So I just have a little bit of a concern as to why we're purchasing the property. But in addition to that, how do we know, well, do we know what the lease term is for Hooks? And how do we know that we may potentially be able to take it over? Because I don't want us to purchase a property and then Public Storage is next door and then the restaurant is next door and we're stuck with this piece of property in the middle and don't know what to do with it. I mean, this is a substantial amount of money.
The Hooks property, we are in beginning negotiations regarding the purchase of that site with the owners. Hooks has a long-term lease, I think it's a 20-year lease agreement with them. So we are in the process of negotiating with the owners regarding the potential purchase of that site. I think it may be an opportunity for us to look at that site as far as what type of development that could happen. Since we are going to be changing extending the entertainment overlay district into that area, I think that will spur some economic development along that corridor. There's a number of other sites along that corridor that I, quite honestly, could use some reinvestment and or purchase for investment opportunities. And I think if that were to happen, I believe that site would become a critical and a unique piece of development along that corridor.
I mean, I like the idea that we're talking about spurring economic development. I just don't see the vision. And I know that Councilwoman Wilson has been asking for a strategic plan for the last 2 years. And I know that a couple council meetings ago, you all tried to sell the old police department. So for me, I the buying, selling, I don't see a strategic plan or a vision. And for that reason, I can't support the item.
You know, one of the things when I saw this item that excited me most about it was because the area that is directly behind it, which is our Golden Glades area, that is couched in between 37th Avenue and 27th Avenue, there really is no activity there. And so being able to capture many of the visitors that go to St. Thomas, that go to Florida Memorial for games and things of that nature, being able to have a stellar restaurant like Crabman 305, the possibility of seeing Sunshine Meats capitalize on their own continued growth and development, and bringing something else there that will spur that whole corridor from the truck stop all the way down to 151st, would give both sides of the highway of 27th Avenue a place where I think that they could cross the street and have dinner and not have to necessarily go too far. That area just recently opened a very nice Jamaican restaurant that I understand has great food and can uplift that area more. So I'm willing to take a risk to see how we might be able to see that area get some lights and get some lights in a good way. In addition, with St. Thomas's development, what happens is that we find that people are getting off the expressway and going underneath and coming right up to that corner where Walgreens is and heading straight into St. Thomas for the games and all of that kind of stuff. So the question for me is, spend some money. And so I think that this might be an opportunity for us to, like I said, turn the lights on in an area that very well, may have been overlooked or not renovated. Because I would love to be able to see, Mr. Manager, the plan for us to be able to get that from there all the way up, to see those shopping areas, to see where that corner lot there where there's an old mechanic shop that's just sitting there doing nothing. I'd love to see that really come alive and to bring some life into that area. So I agree with the strategic.
Councilman Steve.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few things. I too share between both of what my colleagues just mentioned. Councilwoman Julian, as it relates to the plan, for that particular area, with the Hooks Restaurant being in between the partials, the land that we currently own and the one that we're looking to purchase in this item. But I will say it is extremely necessary to develop that corridor, because that area it's essentially it's been neglected. There's a lot of there's nothing there. And I believe once we extend, should we bring the overlay district down south to 167th Street, it will pick up some kind of attraction to that particular land that we're looking to purchase with this item. I do believe that it will excite someone to want to take it and develop along that corridor, and the city can potentially receive revenue from that purchase when we look to sell it or bid that land off. But I will say, as it relates to Councilwoman Wilson, this is where the plan is necessary. This is why we have to have a strategic planning session where we can come together and discuss what the developing along our overlay entertainment district. I considered the north portion of the overlay entertainment district downtown Miami Gardens. But that's why I think it's necessary. So I'm willing to take the investment in purchasing this land, but we have to have a plan tied to it moving forward. So I do understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, through the mayor to the charter officer, to Mr. Manager, once we purchase this land, the plan would have to essentially come back to us as it relates to the developing or the selling off to the land.
Yes.
Correct?
Mr. Mayor, whatever recommendations we have to bring forward, we will bring that back to council.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Mr. Clerk, we do have a strategic plan meeting coming up in the coming year, correct?
Yeah, I believe we did discuss this a few meetings ago, that we will begin to start planning for a strategic plan.
All right, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, in reference to the strategic plan, I've already begun some internal meetings regarding that, so that once we're ready to roll out everything, we'll have an internal staff ready to move forward.
Thank you.
I got one more comment. Go ahead. One of the other things, guys, that I believe is also important to note is that our college students look like they're here to stay. And when you see them here, and when you look at our cities that are around, the college students many times stay in the city where their college and universities are. And so they are here not only as students, but as potential residents. And so we've got to find places where their lives can be connected to and develop along with them as they make Miami Gardens their home.
So I have a question, Mr. Manager. What is the timeline for the strategic plan?
If I remember correctly, excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Julian, if I remember correctly, we were supposed to start sometime next year, February, March, if I remember correctly.
That's what the dates were.
Okay.
February and March.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
And I think also we should look at putting something or making sure something's in place that if we're gonna, once we start having conversations with brokers and we're going out down that line to talk to people about purchasing things, we want to make sure that maybe you include that in your one-on-one meetings with the council. So when they see these items, they already have some type of idea that we've been in discussion with different parties on what's going on outside of the strategic plan. But we know that next week I'll be talking to XYZ broker in regards to the sale of this land or the purchase of this land, just to make sure that the council is aware.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr.
Mr. Vice Mayor, this did come before council to get authorization.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying, but we did bring this before council.
Right.
So specifically for the building, what's the timeline to bring the plans before the city council member for this piece of property?
Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Julian, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
The timeline, so should you guys decide to purchase this property, what is the timeline from the time that you guys purchase the property? Are we sitting on the property? Are we gonna sell the property? What's the timeline and the planning for that? Because for me, I mean, I'd like to to see a strategic plan in place first, and then we move forward, but I mean, things are done differently. So do you have somewhat of a timeline of when that would be?
I would suggest that we would have something to you the first quarter of 2023. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we have to, again, sell the property to Crabman 305. I think that item may be coming to you in December or January next year. And once we move forward, that we come back with an overall plan.
I thought they already had a space.
We have to bring back the agreement to sell the to sell the property to them, to council.
This property that you guys are looking to purchase?
No, the Crabman 305 property. That has to come back to you for final approval.
The property north of what they're looking to purchase.
Right. So what does the Crabman 305 property have to do with this particular parcel that we're discussing?
Nothing.
Because overall, and from a planning perspective, that we're looking at all of those properties together as a plan of action to do what we can do on that site.
Ms. Smith? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Go ahead.
Can you, can you send me the agenda item when it came to council? So I can be refreshed?
You got another question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I know, Mr. Manager, you mentioned that we've been entertaining, we're having conversation with Hook's Restaurant. Is that correct? With the owners, not necessarily the restaurant, because they're renters, correct?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
And are they open to selling the portion of that land as well?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The last conversation that was had, it seems to be some movement toward that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other question?
So those conversations are to obtain hooks, correctly? That property, correct?
Mr. Manager?
That's correct.
Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
We need a motion. On the
Need a
second.
motion on the item.
Motion?
It's been moved. I'll second it. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Godaro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Julian,
No.
Councilman Stevens,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Motion passes 6-1. All right, we're now on to item 11.10, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, ratifying and approving the collective bargaining agreement between the Dade County Police Benevolent Association and the City of Miami Gardens, Florida for the period non-pro-tunc from October 1, 2021 through September 30, 2024. Attached to is Exhibit A, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager.
Mr. Manager? Oh, this was pulled by, who was pulled? Councilwoman Wilson. Go ahead.
Overall, I think the disagreement has some good things in it. However, there are a couple of things that I just need to kind of have a conversation about. Let me start out by saying that I don't have a real command over some of the stuff. So it may require that you give me a little bit more detail and explanation. First, I'd like to say that, okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, if Councilwoman Wilson doesn't mind, if you want me to express some of your concerns, I know what those concerns are.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Also,
then I'll pick up from where.
okay. Also, I just want the council to know that Brendan Coyle, representative of the outside council who represents the PBA, is in the audience as well.
Mhm.
And I know some of those questions may need some explanation from him as well.
Mhm.
So let me sort of begin some of the concerns that you've had conversations with me.
Mhm.
First of all, I think the contract negotiated is the contract moving forward. It addresses a number of issues. One of the issues that we were able to work through dealt with an issue regarding pensionability for off-duty. And as you're aware, we were held up by the state and waited for the state to give us a determination if that was legal, if it was okay to do, and they came back and said it was okay to do. However, and Brendan, I just kind of addressing some of the things we talked about at the table. I think the biggest issue right now that Councilwoman Wilson has expressed to me is the issue of our police officers and the opportunities that they either don't get or should get regarding off-duty as it pertains to activities at the stadium. And those activities are there are a number of activities we know that other agencies control. The internal activities and most of the external activities. But the biggest activity and the biggest issue that seems to be a sticking point is the fact that those officers that serve as off-duty officers in the city of Miami Gardens at the stadium are officers that are not officers of the city of Miami Gardens. They are officers from other agencies, and so therefore it tends to be somewhat aggravating that our residents, when it comes time for them to get to their homes, our business folks who want to visit our businesses, they're not getting those businesses in there because they just don't know the lay of the land, as our officers led by our police chief would. And so when we talk about off-duty, and we all understand off-duty, and we've had these conversations at the table, the opportunity for our office to be a part of off-duty opportunities is somewhat limited because of obviously the number of officers that are with Miami-Dade, and also the number of officers that are used during those times from other neighboring cities. However, those opportunities are not given to the city of Miami Gardens officers. So therefore, when individuals are in and out activities, or when council members are at activities, or administrative folks are at those activities, we are not treated in the same light, if you will, as we would had we had, or we would have, those Miami Gardens officers. So the issue is, what can we do to ensure moving forward those opportunities are given to our officers? Certainly, we've come close as far as the opportunities for off-duty. Although our officers won't make as much as other officers, they're going to be making it and have the opportunity for that to be pensionable. I think everyone understands that and everyone accepts that. But also, what other measures can we put in place to ensure that going forward, our officers are given that opportunity similar to other officers? And then also, from my perspective, and I've said this, is that if approved, then our officers are going to have to do those activities in our city, which would then make it easier for us to moving in and out of those activities, and also they can be a part of our activities as a city. So that seems to be, Brendan, some of the sticking points in regards to the overall contract. The PBA is not the only entity that needs to be a part of these conversations. Obviously, the stadium folks have to be a part of these conversations as well, because the stadium hires the officers. The stadium controls who gets those jobs. The stadium controls who doesn't get those jobs. In some cases, we had the opportunity to provide services on an off-duty basis, but that was during an unfortunate circumstance, given what happened at Surfside. When that happened, most of those officers that would normally be at the stadium for Rolling Loud were at Surfside. And actually, the mayor and I ended up, along via with the chief, negotiating for our officers to get those jobs during that time. I think roughly 30 to 35 officers got that opportunity. But the goal is, how can we continue that on a more consistent basis so that as we look at our contract going forward, we are actually reaping the benefit of our officers being in place in those areas in order to receive the benefits of being, as they're receiving those benefits are being given to and expressed through their benefits to our residents. And so that's where we are with that, those points that we talked about.
Yes,
and I know
sir.
there was some other.
And I think you did a great job. I think you did a great job. But here's what I must convey, and this is why this deal doesn't work for me, and I won't support it. If our officers, no, let's go back. Our residents, the people who pay everybody's salary, had a huge concern about traffic and the disruption of their lives as a result of stadium events. Our police department has done an yeoman's job in ensuring that traffic gets in and out of the city, that they don't turn down neighborhood streets that disrupt our residents and their daily living. And our residents have also been willing to say, we'll give you 3 hours on my Sunday. I won't go to Walmart. I won't go to the restaurant. I'll go in early and leave late. I'll make accommodations, but not to sit in traffic where roads have been shut down, that doesn't understand the culture of this community. And then to have officers who are unable to relate to them in a way that they fully understand that the residents are not attending stadium events, they're going about life. But our officers have a keen awareness of that and are able to direct traffic in such a way that takes those things, those normalcies of our community, and they put them into practice. Now, it would be different if I stayed in the house on Saturday and Sunday, but I drive the street to really see how everything is going. And I gotta tell you, the experience was horrible. The officers were so rude until I lost my breath. The indifference and the lack of concern. Okay, it didn't stop there, sir. Didn't stop there. It didn't stop there because when I got up Monday morning to go to work, the traffic was still backed up. And I said, well, why the traffic backed up? It's 6:15 in the morning. And it's because those officers didn't change the timing of the lights. So that means that not only did the residents suffer Sunday, it was right back Monday morning, all the way into Tuesday in the afternoon, where they can't get on and off the expressways because the timing of the light is crazy. Now, that doesn't mean anything to someone who doesn't live here. But it means a lot to us. And so this agreement doesn't work for me because it doesn't take into consideration the customer, who is the taxpayer, who pays the taxes for the police department that has been trained to handle trained to handle traffic in our area, to be absent when we have 60,000 people to move out. So there has been no consideration in this agreement for anything. And guess what? I don't know that our residents have a problem with a 4% increase, but they got a problem with the traffic. They have a real problem. And so I don't know how we can negotiate and ratify, or I don't know how I could, without there not being any provision at all for the officers that live, work, and many of them play here, to be able to be employed on one of these days when the traffic goes until 1 o'clock in the morning. And you're dealing with a stranger. I don't know how that can happen.
Mr. Manager, wouldn't that be a conversation we'll have to have with the stadium in reference to, I guess, who's in charge of?
Yeah. Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. We would have to have a conversation with the stadium. But I also think the conversation needs to include the stadium, the city, the PBA, and the reps for the PBA that serve for the city of Miami Gardens. And then also, to be honest with you, I would also like to include representatives from the 35-acre group, because that is going to be another opportunity for our officers, and also another issue, some other things that we're going to deal with down the road regarding traffic. So I understand where Councilwoman Wilson is coming from, and I'm more than happy to proceed in that direction and setting up those meetings and having those conversations. But I just want, this is something that we talked about at the table, to be honest with you. And so here,
And I remember, I'm not cutting you off, Mr. Manager, but I remember we along with the chief, we had a conversation in reference to Miami Gardens Police Department being the leader of events that take place here in our city.
That's correct.
So we need to revisit that conversation again.
Okay.
But my thing is, we can't ratify this until we have a conversation. Because if in fact, like I said, this contract cannot be voted on until the parties can come to some agreement. And then whatever that agreement is, it needs to be put in this agreement. Because what we are essentially doing, now I don't know about nobody else, just talking about Katrina, but I know that my residents voiced to me clearly about the quality of their life due to stadium events. I have an obligation to ensure that those concerns are addressed as it relates to this agreement, the traffic, the policing, the safety, and the organization and notification to our residents and of our residents of these kinds of events and how things are going to be happening. And the only way I can foresee that this can happen is that the home police department, which is the Miami Gardens Police Department, can set some standards and protocols that are consistent throughout. And not because somebody comes in and says, we're gonna block off a whole street and nobody can move. I mean, we're just totally arrested without any consideration as to the protocols and the lifestyles of the people that are here. So I don't know how this can be ratified when there hasn't been a full agreement. And you guys can help me out if there's a way that this can be ratified with the changes that we got to make them, because we can't go on like this here.
Mr. Mayor, as I spoke with Councilwoman Wilson, I don't believe that we can hold up the ratification of the contract based on these concerns that we're talking about. However, what I do believe we should be doing and moving forward was what I said earlier, and that is to sit down at the table with the PBA and others and begin to move forward, and then hopefully bring forward a separate agreement that says the things that we're going to be doing, the things that will be put in place in order to address the concerns that Councilwoman Wilson is speaking of. The PBA collective bargaining agreement, I don't think is the avenue to do that in. I think the message that Councilwoman Wilson has given us is strong enough, and certainly as a manager, I understand where she wants to go. We had a conversation earlier today, we're having it now, but I think the PBA, since their rep is here, they now hear those concerns, and we will have to have a different kind of conversation, and then with that, hopefully bring a separate agreement that addresses and moves us forward from there.
Go ahead, Councilman. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me say this. I agree with the councilwoman as it relates to addressing the issue with the traffic. So much so that the councilwoman, the idea that she's proposing is something that happened with the Rolling Loud this past season. They, for whatever reason, they being the organizers of the traffic control and special events happening at the stadium, handed over the traffic control to MGPD and allowed us to operate that entire weekend. And I was on the grounds with our police department to experience that, and it went exceptional. Our men and women were able to get the traffic through this city, in and out of this city without a problem. So I definitely believe the conversation as it relates to allowing MGPD to lead the efforts on the traffic control on the outside of the stadium is necessary. And I support it and definitely think we should have a meeting around that as well. And if we were able to get it, I'm not sure as far as how we would be able to include that in the PBA agreement. I don't know if that's a PBA agreement.
I don't think.
Attorney, somebody give me a legal point of view on that.
Yeah, I
please.
think
I think that's a
I
separate.
think I'm kind of lost on whether or not that should be included in this ratification.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, can it be included is my question. Can that partnership or that handover be included in the contract?
Well, the only parties to this contract is the city of Miami Gardens and the officers through the PBA.
Got you.
So you don't have jurisdiction over anybody
Over all
else,
the other
which includes the county, because they're
Mm-hmm.
not a party to this agreement.
Okay.
So the Police Benevolent Association represents who?
But we'll let him speak.
Brent?
Please.
Is the mic on?
Is
Is it on?
Brendan, yes, that's a little better. Thank you. My name is Brendan Coyle. I'm outside counsel for the South Florida Police Benevolent Association. We represent the officers and the sergeants of Miami Gardens. I've actually been involved since the officers and sergeants unionized in the negotiations since 2011. I'm negotiating the contract. Just to your point, Councilwoman, I believe you do make a number of good points, and I will tell you at the last bargaining session, we had both Mr. Benson and the PBA president came to that one, Stedman Stahl, and we did discuss these issues. President Stahl committed to Mr. Benson, he's willing to sit down anytime to discuss these issues with whatever entities. I think given that there are other entities, it is really technically outside the scope of the collective bargaining process between the South Florida PBA and the city of Miami Gardens. Again, though, he's more than happy to sit down and address all these issues. And I understand, I don't think I quite understood the traffic other than, attending games myself, but how that impacts certainly the residents. This collective bargaining agreement, obviously it's been a long time. We began negotiating back in the middle of, it was April of 2021. All the negotiations have their kind of their nuances, but I think on both sides, both the officers and the sergeants and the negotiating team, on both sides, it's required an extraordinary amount of patience, and on the city's negotiating team as well. So I do want to thank Mr. Benson and the city's negotiating team. So I just wanted to, the officers did overwhelmingly approve the contract, and certainly we would like to see it get ratified. And obviously for the benefits for the officers in there. So we're happy to sit down with President Stahl, Mr. Benson, whatever other entities are necessary to address that as soon as possible.
I guess here I am again saying this is going to have a fiscal impact on us too. And so as we begin to look at whether our officers provide traffic coverage or they don't, if they do, it's a fiscal impact. And so it's also a fiscal impact because we get to this pensionable stuff and how much time they work, that affects us. And so it's negotiated and discussed in this contract. And so we have to have a sense of what that looks like to us. And when I asked about who you represent more than just Miami Gardens if you represent the South Florida. So you are with Metro Dade, Homestead, City of Miami, am I correct?
South Florida
And
represents all
so
of them.
so in other words, they're all impacted because many of those officers come right here and work. And so my issue and my concern is to be able to ensure that the taxpayers' dollars are going to the things that affect their life most importantly. And that's being able to get from point A to point B safely on any game day. And I believe that the stakeholders in this, being you, being the stadium, being the city, that we need to sit down before we start ratifying the contract. We need to sit down and get clear about how important this is. I recognize that our officers want to get their contract ratified, and I'll be glad to do it because they've earned it. But they've also demonstrated to me a level of professionalism and skill in being able to pull together a traffic flow and safety program in this city with the events that we experience on a weekly basis to be able to get people in and out, not only weekly, but all year long. And to me, I mean, I might be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. The Dolphins, the stadium, they have not been irresponsive or non-responsive. So if we tell them we need a meeting, they'll meet with us. And we need to do it sooner than later. And we need to get this here part taken care of so that we can move forward.
So
I have some questions. I have a question.
And I have one as well.
Go ahead.
Well, and I don't disagree with the traffic situation. It's something that we need to address. I don't disagree with that. I actually support that. But I have a question regarding the pensionable. And let me clarify something because you mentioned it. Tell me your name again. I'm sorry.
My name's Brendan Coyle.
Brendan.
Yeah.
I want to clarify. You mentioned that our officers has been very patient with this whole process and the time frame. And I appreciate that because our men and women work extremely hard. However, we just got this. So it's going to take, so if we have to take a little bit extra time to understand the process, that's just because it just crossed the council's desk. Okay?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
and
I just want to make sure that that is clear.
Certainly, okay.
The off-duty being pensionable, how do we, and I guess this is a question for the manager, how do we ensure the cost neutral remains in place?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Councilman Stevens, the agreement has written in it a cost neutrality clause that says that if at any point the city deems that the pensionability plan, if you will, incurs costs from us, we would sit down with the PBA and come up with a plan to make it cost neutral. The way it becomes cost neutral to us is all of the costs that are borne are placed on those entities who are requesting off-duty services. So they are charged a rate sufficient enough to cover all of the costs necessary to pay pensionability and all other related costs to those off-duty services.
Thank you. Okay. And I'll say this and I'll be done with this conversation regarding this item. I like I stated multiple times, I agree that the traffic is something we need to have a conversation about and may require my colleagues and I, as well as all of the parties that's included, to have somewhat of a special meeting to discuss these things or talk about it. From the legal point, that's not something that needs to be included in this agreement. Well, because it's between the city of Miami Gardens and the PBA. So I'm gonna support it. However, we must have a conversation as it relates to the traffic.
Yeah, and I think all of us are in agreement with that. So, Mr. Manager, if you could, we can get something scheduled. I don't know how long it'll take for us to reach out to all parties that need to be present, but we need to have that conversation with the stadium, PBA, and all of the other agencies that's involved with this traffic situation.
Mr. Mayor, I will follow up.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
But see, that doesn't,
Mr. Mayor, I have a question, maybe a couple. My first question is, I don't know if you, sir, as an attorney representing the PBA can explain this, or the city manager, or Mr. Clay, deputy city manager. What does cost neutral to the city mean? Can you, any one of you explain that, please?
Mr. Manager.
Mr. Clay.
Cost neutrality means that there would be no cost to the city out of the city's coffers to pay for the pensionability piece. So whatever the officer receives, whatever we have to pay to FRS and any other costs related to that, that would net to zero for the city.
Okay, my other question is, I see the fiscal impact, it says it's estimated difference between the final agreed upon terms and the initial PBA proposal is $9,079,550. So the difference of what? Is that a net or a loss? And what was the cost last year? Where's this dollar amount of $9,079,550 coming from?
That, Councilwoman, represents the difference between the proposals that were placed on the table when we first started negotiating to where we ended up today and what's before you. There were a number of proposals placed on the table when we first started bargaining. In fact, I think there were somewhere around 27 different proposals that were placed on the table. At the end of the day, what those proposals would have cost versus what we are paying now is that number that's represented in your cover memo.
So is that an increase or a decrease?
It's not actual dollars because those there are a number of things that are in the contract that we can't cost out because you never know what's going to happen. I'll give you an example: night shift differential. I don't know how many officers are going to be on night shift 3 years down the road. I can't predict that. So the only thing that we could do is come up with some estimate based on what is currently there.
So, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm still a little confused. So I need you to help me on this one. Because when I'm looking at the cost, you know, the biweekly, the sergeants get 55 per hour, the officers get 50 an hour, you know, tier 1, and then there's tier 2, a different cost. So I'm still trying to understand, where did this $9,079,550 amount come from? I'm confused. Help me understand.
So if we had taken all 27 proposals that Brendan and his team placed on the table, and if we cost those out over the course of the next 3 years, what those would have cost, let's say, if they were $20 million, where we ended up is a cost estimate of $9.7 million less than that 20 million.
Okay. I understand now.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I guess maybe my as I was saying earlier, I'm trying to figure out if this came up in negotiations and bargaining as a potential issue, and it wasn't dealt with, why? Was that at that time determined that it was not an issue for collective bargaining? Or was that a term that they weren't, like, why wasn't it dealt with in collective bargaining?
Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, for the simple reason what we said tonight, those are issues that we cannot put in a collective bargaining agreement. But those were issues that we brought up to ensure that they all knew that we were serious, that we needed to have those opportunities for our officers to be more involved in those activities happening at the stadium.
So need a moment.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I have one more question, quick question. Okay. So, Mr. Manager, through the mayor or council, what's the long-term effect of this? This is I think it's a 3-year contract here? Am I correct?
3-year contract.
Okay. So are there any long-term, effects of this? Are we going to be able to sustain that within our budget?
So the original contract would have started October 1st of 2021. So we have already budgeted for those costs because this would be retro to October 1st, 2021. We just passed our budget that began October 1st of 2022, and all the costs related to this contract were included in that budget. So every year we will budget the cost necessary. Right now, we do not anticipate any budgetary issues as we move into the last really 2 years of this particular contract.
Thank you.
Coming back.
Okay. So when let's say, for example, we met with parties that we discussed, that we named, and they determined that they would use the City of Miami Gardens Police to deal with the traffic as an issue. Would there be any effect on this collective bargaining agreement here?
No.
So it would have no bearing at all.
No, it wouldn't have any bearing because it were merely operational issues. Then let's just say if there was an opportunity, we sat around the table, we came up with the decision that City of Miami Gardens officers are going to be responsible for the traffic portion of any event that happens at the stadium. Okay, those officers would then work that off duty, and they will be the ones being paid. They will address all the things that would happen in the city, where the traffic goes, where it doesn't go, and the like. It would just be them taking the place of others who would have been there.
I have a question, and Mr. Manager, those officers, they would have to accept the off-duty, right?
That's correct.
So there's no guarantee that they would want to work those off duties.
Very good point, Councilwoman. That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess here's the best way for me, I think, to do this. As a directive, I would like to direct the city manager to come up with a plan to ensure that the traffic and the officers that provide traffic services to the city, at a minimum, understand that there are certain things that must be done to eliminate traffic congestion and not contribute to it. Okay? There has to be a plan to be able to do it. That's number one. Number two, we don't know what our officers will do because they've never been given the opportunity to. And when they have been given the opportunity, they show up like they always do, and they show out. We have an obligation to not only our constituents, but to the visitors who come into this city, that their experience here is one that is a good one. And it all starts with how well their trip here and how well it ends. And if they are stuck in traffic and they're treated rudely and they come to a city that is unclean, then it is not a good look, and they don't want to live, they don't want to play, and they don't want to work here.
I think that'll be part of the conversation that can be held when we have that meeting.
That's correct.
Mr. Mayor, to the manager. Mr. Manager, can we look at the command staff of the stadium with Tom and Merrill and see if we can make sure that one of our officers, I'm not sure if one of our lieutenants or assistant chiefs are a part of that command staff when they disperse information out and when it comes to planning, based on the number, I think it's about 700 officers per game that are dispersed throughout the city. So if we can have somebody on that command staff that can relay this message and the importance of our traffic needs, that will be greatly appreciated also.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, I will address that as well within the overall plan and during those meetings.
Any other questions or concerns? So now I need a motion on the item.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
Me.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councilman. We'll be in touch with Mr. Benson for sure very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. We're on resolutions.
Yeah, we're on resolutions. Resolution item 12.1, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, appointing council member Katrina Wilson to serve as vice mayor for a 2-year term, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris.
As you guys know, every 2 years we have to select a vice mayor. First, I want to thank Vice Mayor Reggie Leon for his service to not only this city, but to the residents of this community. You've done a great job for the past 2 years, and we really thank you, and we'll miss you as my vice mayor. But I'm making a recommendation that Katrina Wilson becomes the new vice mayor. I need a motion on the item if there's no.
Motion.
Motion.
Been moved and seconded.
I have a comment.
Let's vote on it first, and then we'll.
Oh, I thought we had to comment, speak on it.
Go ahead. Do your comment.
I just want to say to the vice mayor, thank you. As the mayor mentioned, you serve very well in your capacity as vice mayor. And I look forward to continuing to work with you. And I believe Councilwoman Wilson would do an exceptional job as well. So I'm in support of this item as well. And I look forward to continuing to serve with both of my colleagues for the next 4 years.
You got 4 years. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none. Congratulations, new vice mayor.
Congratulations, Vice Mayor Wilson.
Madam Vice Mayor.
Can I say something?
Yeah, your reports.
No, I just want to say one thing. I want to say I echo Councilman Stevens' sentiments, Vice Mayor. You have been a hoot, you've been a quiet storm, and I really, really have enjoyed working with you all the way from election to election. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
I don't know about him being a quiet storm,
Right.
Madam Vice Mayor Wilson, but I will say that Vice Mayor Reggie Leon has served with dignity and integrity, and he's not only served us, he served the city of Fort Myers as well, as you all saw the efforts that he put behind helping those who were affected by Ian. So proud of you, and I'm looking forward to all the great things that Madam Vice Mayor Wilson is going to bring.
That's right.
Pressure.
She said precious.
All right. We're on ordinances for first reading.
Yeah, we're now on to quasi-judicial zoning hearings and agenda disclosures.
We barely could hear you.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the quasi-judicial portion of the October 26, 2022 City Council meeting. For those persons that will or may be speaking on an item on the agenda or commenting on any item, please stand up and be sworn in by the city clerk. For the applicants, your item will be called to order by agenda number and by the title of your request. When your item is called, please approach the microphone, and when addressed, please speak directly and clearly, stating your name and address for the record, and explain the reason for your request. Note that all exhibits presented to the mayor and the council will become part of the public record.
Do you swear to affirm that the testimony provided this evening is true and correct to the best of your knowledge? All right, we're now on to item 13.1, ordinances off for first reading and public hearing. Item 13.1.1, in order to the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, amending Chapter 34, zoning and land development, Article 10, accessory use and structures, Section 34-311, accessory use table, amending Article 10, accessory uses and structures, Section 34-312, paren 20, subsection 25, home occupation office of the Code of Ordinances, providing for adoption and representation, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city attorney.
Madam Attorney?
Janelle Murphy will do the presentation now.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Harris, Vice Mayor Wilson, members of the council. So the purpose of this ordinance is to amend sections of the code regarding home-based businesses, so that they can be consistent with the Florida statutes. The beginning of last year, January 2021, the legislature presented House Bill 403, which is now Florida Statute 559995. And what it essentially did was it prohibits local governments from enforcing or enacting any laws or regulations or policies or taking any action to license home-based businesses. So because of that change, we needed to amend our code to be consistent with the Florida statute because it can't be inconsistent. So essentially what the state has done is they've preempted it to the state. They want to be the ones responsible for regulating home-based businesses.
Need a motion on this item?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or concerns from the dais?
From Madam Assistant City Attorney.
I'm not gonna let you.
No, I ain't gonna do nothing to it. I don't have any questions. No, I don't have any questions.
You got Mama over there that'll protect her. Mama bear ain't play. All right. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Yes.
Councilman Stevens.
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell. Councilwoman McDarrow.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leon.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson.
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Motion passes 7-0. All right, there are no ordinances on for second reading and public hearing, no resolution of public hearing. We're now on to the reports of the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk.
Miss Boston, could you put the clock on for 2 minutes per report? No, I'm joking. Mr. Manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman. Thank you, Mayor, because I might go over 2 minutes today. I just have a few things I got to go over. So.
Take your time,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Manager.
Thank you, appreciate it. First of all, congratulations to Vice Mayor Leon for the last 2 years of serving as Vice Mayor. And congratulations to Councilwoman Wilson, who is the incoming Vice Mayor. I look forward to working with you, Madam Vice Mayor, future Vice Mayor in the future. Secondly, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Tamara Watley and the consulting group that has helped us put together the metaverse. When I'm done, Tamara's going to come up and give a brief presentation on how that is working now, and the launch of that will be immediately following this meeting. So I just want that to come back. But I do want to take this opportunity to talk about one thing and sort of one thing in particular. And I really want to talk about special events. And I'm not going to go into a long conversation about it, but it hit me the other night when I attended the karaoke event at Betty T. First of all, the karaoke event was outstanding. It was a great event. We had over 3,000 people at the event. And what it showed me, and I will have to be honest, I had not been before because my weekends are kind of filled with, at the time this kicked off, running around with my family to various events on the weekends because my daughters were all scattered across the United States of America. So for the weekends, for me, is doing those things. But I did, but during that time when I was not able to be there, I just want to thank Mr. Basil Cole for Basil Cole Productions, because I'm able to watch those things on Facebook and get an idea of the successes of those events and and what those events look like on a weekend basis. So thank you, Mr. Cole. But I do want to say this. The karaoke event was an entertainment venue. And I think when we talk about special events, we need to probably break the categories out a little bit more. So the karaoke event, a successful event, an entertainment event, over 3,000 people, food trucks, everybody dancing, singing, trying to do certain things, and it was a great event. Everybody came and everybody left. Juneteenth, an entertainment venue event. We started out slowly, it has now become a major event. Same the way Jazz and Gardens became a small event and it grew. I think those events, to me, are the events that are really special events in the city of Miami Gardens. Then there are events that we do for awareness, cancer, Alzheimer's, whatever it may be, and we put those events on, and to some degree, we spend a number of dollars on those events. I think as we prepare for next budget, we really need to clearly define what those special events are going to be. Because if we are going to capture our residents, our community, and even those folks who may want to join our residents, our communities, then we need to do events that are worth the while and that we're spending the money accordingly to those events. I asked the vice mayor how much was budgeted for that event. He told me, I think it was $2,500. We got all that for $2,500. And in some cases, we do events. And listen, I'm just being honest here. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm not here for that. In some events, we spend a lot of money. We don't get that kind of turnout. And those are the types of things that we need to begin to talk about and accept. If those things are not happening, then maybe we shouldn't be doing those events. Councilman Stevens asked during the budget hearing if we could bring back a report regarding how events are happening, the costs, et cetera. You'll have that report January 13, 2023, because we've been monitoring, we've been looking at those things. So hats off to the vice mayor on a great event, and I know this has been going on for a year, and I think in January you celebrate an anniversary of 1 year. But I think when we look at those types of events, cross-generational events, everyone was there. Mr. Cole was there again with his production company and everything. I think we may need to change our mindset a little bit as to how we move forward when we talk about special events, entertainment events, awareness events, and the like. And with that, Mr. Mayor and Vice Mayor and council members, that ends my report. I'd just like to call Ms. Watley up to announce the metaverse and then pass out some little gifts for you guys so that you can participate in the metaverse. And then that'll be it for me, Mr. Mayor and Vice Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, City Manager Benson. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Tamara Wadley, Assistant to the City Manager for Communications. As you know, I believe early August, we launched phase 1 of the promotional campaign that we were tasked with telling our story, and we came up with a message in Miami Gardens, it's where you want to be. I thank you all for your participation and your engagement, and I'm happy to see that the brand lives on even after we've launched. I hear it almost every time you guys get on a microphone now. So I pat myself on the back and I thank the Mosaic Group and the city manager for trusting us with executing this. We promised that we would have come back with phase 2 of the campaign, which is the launch of the metaverse, which is live tonight. You'll start seeing communications tomorrow because we don't want to get lost in the shuffle tonight. But you all can go on the website. It's discovermiamigardens.com. You can go to /innovate or /metaverse, and you can see it on the traditional website for our residents who may not have VR headsets. I believe Seek, which is the company that we're working with, is also offering a 15% discount if anyone is interested in purchasing their VR headsets, and that information is on the website as well. Along with your headset, there's a little card on it that tells you how to access the app and or the website so you can download and play along with it. Again, there are several ways that members of the public can interact with the metaverse. It's through the VR headset that you would have to download the app. You can view it on your phone as a regular 3D, or you go into VR mode, put the headset on, and you can literally walk around on the few landmarks that we've included in the experience, because this is Miami Gardens testing the metaverse. There's still, more development for us to go as you all envision how else you'd like to see this. So it's the cell phone, it's the VR headset, or through the traditional website. And we will have these cards available at the front for residents so you guys could take to see how you can also interact with it.
Mr. Mayor?
So cool.
I have just a quick question, Ms. Wiley. Given the promotional types of things that we're doing and the productions that are going on in the city and the assistance that we get from others, maybe we should give Mr. Basil Cole for his productions one of those as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mr. Cole, there's no checks that come with
Mr.
that.
Cole, you have to see me at a later date for your headset.
He can have mine.
Oh, okay.
I can assure you he will see you.
Unless there are any questions for me, Mayor and Council.
I just would like to thank the Mosaic Group for their hard work and dedication to making this thing reality. And it shows that Miami Gardens is an innovative city, and we're probably one of the first cities to invest in the metaverse and be a part of the metaverse. So thank you for all your hard work and your commitment to us. We appreciate that.
I love it. Yeah, just saw MSNB.
I don't have a report, but I do want to say, Vice Mayor, it's been a pleasure. You came in and took it on professionally.
Hollywood.
Right.
Hollywood.
I love it.
We got some
And
sharp dressed people up in here.
We do.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
That's okay, Mayor. I have on my all black tomorrow, too. And congratulations to you, Councilwoman Wilson. Well deserved, and look forward to serving with you, continuing to serve.
Mr. Clerk.
No report. I just want to echo the same sentiments from the city attorney and city manager, Vice Mayor Leon. Been a pleasure to see you in the leadership position as vice mayor, stepping in for the mayor when he hasn't been present. And Councilwoman Wilson, vice mayor appointed. Look forward to working with you and Vice Mayor Trina. So, congratulations, and definitely appreciate the council for the continued leadership, and another good day in Miami Gardens.
Councilman Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I dive into my very short report, by the way,
leave it when I see it.
I want to. There's two things that I want to inquire or just put emphasis on. I know earlier, in public comment, one of the residents mentioned about the shopping carts going throughout the communities. Mr. Manager, that is a very, very big issue. Not only in the Winn-Dixie area, Walmarts throughout the community. The only one that I have not witnessed it in is the Walmart, the neighborhood Walmart. But far as this Walmart here in the overlay district, the Walmart on the east side of the city on 441, you ride through the communities and the shopping carts are all through the center. So through the community. So I want to make sure that whatever we can do to crack down on this, that we take, we handle it very aggressively. It was one other thing, but it'll come to me, I guess, when I dive into my report. But again, that's very important that we address. The other thing that I wanted to say is I know it's been an extremely it required a lot of patience for us, the law enforcement and our city administration for this PBA contract. So I do want to say to our city manager and his team, to our city attorney and everyone that worked to put this contract together for our officers, thank you. And to the law enforcement team that I believe is the best with our the chief of chiefs. Thank you all for your service and your commitment to protecting and serving the residents of Miami Gardens. I really appreciate that. Let's move forward. Let's address the issues at hand, and let's continue to make Miami Gardens the place where you want to be. With that being said, I would like to say on Monday, I took the 3 charter officers with me to a meeting at Miami-Dade College to address city-university partnerships and educational services. And out of that conversation, a lot of amazing ideas came about. So I just want to encourage the residents to be aware of potential educational services with our local universities and for your college as we continue to provide life-sustaining resources to you all. And then on next week, Tuesday, on November 1, millions of people celebrate authors and the books they write on National Authors Day. And I invite everyone to join me at 6:30 p.m. at the Senior Family Center, where I'll present my annual read-in and book fair. Authors are invited to share their passion and work with everyone as we commemorate this day. This year's moderator would be Miami Gardens' very own May Rain. And featured authors are David Jackson, Leticia Martin, Major Wright, and Tracy Jackson. There will be a special guest interview with Dr. Marvin Dunn and a performance by the Viking Freedom Writers of Miami Norland Senior High School. Again, I encourage everyone to come out at the Senior Family Center. We'll have authors set up around the center with their books that they wrote for purchasing, with the portion of our read-in and panel discussion. With that being said, that ends my report. Congratulations, Madam Vice Mayor Wilson, and I look forward to working with you all. Thank you. Oh, and then please come out tomorrow for our swearing in at St. Thomas University, starting at 5 p.m. Starting at 5 p.m. The attire is all black. That ends my report, Mr. Mayor.
Still 4 pages. All right. Councilwoman Nigadaro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no reports. I'd like to say congratulations to Madam Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. It's gonna get hard. It's hard. Call you Councilman Leon.
No report.
Councilwoman Julian.
Trina Bina, congratulations, Madam Vice Mayor. Super proud of you. And again, looking forward to all the wonderful things that you are going to bring to our beautiful city of Miami Gardens. This is very well deserved. To the Mosaic Group, if you haven't gotten people emailing you and calling you, you will. I attended a conference where they were talking about the metaverse, and it was hundreds of people there. And I was sharing this with the manager and Tamara and the rest of the charter officers. And the panel, they were talking about the metaverse, and they were like, yeah, the city of Orlando, they're the first to do this. And my hand went up like this. And I'm like this, like a little kid in class, just like this. And they were like, let's go ahead and take this young lady right here. And I said, well, I'm from the city of Miami Gardens. And in case you don't know where Miami Gardens is, we are home to Formula One. We are home to the Dolphin Stadium. And I just started naming all the wonderful things. And I says, we have implemented the metaverse as well. And they were like, wait, what? And I kid you not, at the end of that conversation, Randy Atelier was a line of people waiting to get my card. They wanted me to send them your contact information because I said, listen, I don't know how we did it, but it was between the Mosaic Group and the city manager. They wanted us to send them the RFP. So baby girl, you will be getting some business. Okay. So that's a good thing. I want to send out some love and my condolences to Isaiah Edwards, who lives over in the Lake Lucerne area. I don't know if you guys heard, but he lost his niece, who was 10 years old, to cancer a couple of days ago. So let's definitely keep him lifted in prayer. And then I also want to keep the family of Miss Oli Mae Canty in prayer. She had been lifted in prayer, her family. She had been a 50-year resident of the city of Miami Gardens, and she passed away a couple of days ago. So let's keep them in our thoughts. I want to congratulate Carroll City Senior High and the North Day Junior and Senior on celebrating their 55th year class reunion over the weekend. The city council members got a chance to celebrate with them. We got a chance to, see some of the photos from their yearbooks and, all of the people that really made things happen and who still live and invest in this community. So it was super, super exciting. And then to the manager's point, karaoke in the gardens, all I can say is it was a vibe. Vice Mayor, that thing was a vibe. And I am looking forward to the next one, okay? And if you need help with planning, Randy is available because we want to see this. I'm volunteering Randy because I got so many residents that came up to me as they were leaving saying, this is amazing. Thank you so much. We love this. Oh my goodness, y'all should do this like every weekend. And I'm like, no, we can't do this every weekend, but we'll definitely continue it every 90 days. So thank you so much for your vision. On November the 16th, my office will be hosting an information session as we gear towards the 11th annual Science and Engineering Fair, which will take place in December. That is the science fair, which will take place in December. But the information session for parents and for teachers will take place on November the 16th from 6 to 7 p.m. at Bunch Park. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to my aide, Randy Grice, and you can reach him at 305-622-8000, extension 2709. This Saturday, we will hold our last Keep It Clean quarterly community cleanup. This one will take place over Snake Creek Canal area. And so it'll be the last one for the year. I'm super excited and just grateful for all the people that come out and support. The Coles have perfect attendance. They are at each and every single cleanup. And so we will resume again during the new year. But if you guys want to come out and volunteer and fellowship, please do so on Saturday. And it's going to take place at the Snake Creek Canal area over in the Andover area. And then last but not least, we still do have the Emerging Small Business Award. Okay, so if you know any small businesses located in the city of Miami Gardens, or if you are a small business, please feel free to apply for this award. It's a one-time grant of $1,000 and you can use it for overhead costs or anything relating to sustaining your business. And that is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Campbell.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, I want to say thank you to Vice Mayor Reginald Leon for your service. Excellent job. And to my colleague, it's going to be interesting to call you Madam Vice Mayor, but I'm looking forward to it. I just want to say we're going into the holiday season. You know, Thanksgiving is around the corner. Those of you that celebrate, you know, Christmas, winter break, just be safe, spend time with your families, and let's continue to love one another. And that's all I have for my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Vice Mayor. Madam Vice Mayor Wilson.
Well, I want to say, first of all, thank you for the recommendation and the affirmation by my colleagues to serve as Vice Mayor. There has been a long line before me and all of them have done well. And I was sharing with one of my colleagues when I said that Shirley built this out and Oliver went to another level. And this council is elevating even further higher. And it is because we are almost just like family. I have so much fun serving with you guys. And the fun is not always easy fun because it comes with a lot of challenges to be better and to do not what feels good, but to do what is best in the long haul for everyone. And I think that that is what true leadership is about. So I'm looking forward to being and continuing to be a student of how to lead and how to give my best back to the community that I love. So the swearing in ceremony this time around is going to be a wonderful thing because it could be my first and my last, you know? No, okay, nobody said anything right now, okay. All right. So I would love for all of you all to come out and to be a part of the swearing in with me and the Three Stooges, right? Or we could call ourselves the Mod Squad or whichever. But one thing is for sure, you definitely can call us the council people because we're proud of that title. So it's going to be at St. Thomas, and I hope to see you there. Meet Me Monday will be on November 14th. It is our holiday kickoff edition. I'd love for you to come. I have some special things I want to share with you. I'm going to pull the Oprah. This gift will be for you if you come and be a part of what we will be kicking off from November all the way through December. It's going to be at Carroll City Park. And again, I would advise you not to be on Zoom. I would advise you to be there because you're going to be square if you're not there. It's going to be game day at the marketplace. And we will have a host of games that we will be playing and celebrating during for the November edition. We will have the games that will be played on the big screen, and we will have big games, big Jenga, big Connect Four, and things of that nature where we want you and your family to come out and just relax with us. And then finally to Vice Mayor Leon, I think that karaoke is all of that and some more. I never saw the city manager cut a step.
He did.
He couldn't sit still. But it is both comedy, it's dance, it's fellowship, it's everything. It's an egg roll of so much fun. So thank you so much for giving us that. That concludes my announcement.
Mr. Mayor? Yeah, my second thought came back to me.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The legislative priorities updates. I know we have an individual meeting on the calendar to start, but when would we have a joint meeting? Because there's nothing slated for the month of November.
Ms. Nelson.
Can you hear me? Yeah, we're still coordinating calendars with our lobby
For the joint meeting?
for the joint meeting, correct?
Okay.
But we did not want to delay having the one-on-one meetings, which will formulate what is brought forward in the joint meeting.
Okay, and that meeting, but we for sure, I know we're coordinating dates, but that for sure would happen sometime in the month of November?
That is what we're striving for.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we remain on time, that we discuss with the lobbyists as well as the legislators about getting our priorities in within a timely in a timely manner. And if I'm not mistaken, that time was by December, January. So if we wait any time outside of the month of November, I feel like our priorities won't essentially be a priority. So I just want to I put emphasis on with or without the consulting, the legislator, the lobbyist firm, we need to have the meeting in the month of November.
Point taken.
Thank you.
That's it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
A couple of quick things. First and foremost, let me thank the city manager, our attorney, our police department, PBA for reaching an agreement. We really appreciate them and we appreciate our officers. So we're hoping that we have the best deal in place for our officers. And in order for them to continue to succeed here in our city. The swearing in ceremony again is tomorrow evening. Again, I want to congratulate the 3 council people who are going to be sworn in: Vice Mayor Wilson, Councilman Leon, and Councilman Stevens. Appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys again. And again, congratulations to the new Vice Mayor and to my friend Reggie. Thank you, man, for serving. Thank you for being a pillar for this community, definitely. And we appreciate you. And then the city manager wanted me to tell you that karaoke was the bomb. So that being said, my office is offering a challenge at the next karaoke to all of the council members' offices. So you guys, any department that want to come to karaoke and challenge the mayor's office, will be there at the next karaoke meeting. So Nisha, get ready.
Challenge accepted, Mayor. That's from seat 6.
We're coming.
Seat
We're
6
coming.
is accepted.
We're there. We're there.
When is the next one?
It's in January.
Okay.
Anthony and I would be ready for sure.
All right. We'll be waiting. Again, the Mosaic Group, I can't say too many great things about you because we might lose you to all these people that Linda conjured up. So we pray that you hang around for a little while longer. The metaverse is going to be something big. Hopefully we'll have our state of the city address in the metaverse. And so we're looking forward to this innovative process, and we want to make sure that the world sees Miami Gardens. Couple of things. October 31st, we're having our Fall Festival, which is one of those city events that had about 10,000 people at the event last year. So we're having another one of those fall festivals. It's going to be at Betty Ferguson Recreational Center on Monday from 6 to 9. So come out, bring the kids out, let them enjoy some safe places to be during the Halloween season. Also on November 5th, we're having a mayor's ball at St. Thomas University. All proceeds from the mayor's ball is going to the Center for Family and Child Enrichment. I said it right. All proceeds will go to the Center for Child and Family Enrichment to help our kids that are in foster care. Then we have our Veterans Day luncheon that's taking place on November 11th. And that'll be held at the Senior Family Center. That'll be on Veterans Day at 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And that's always a great event, so everyone come out and support. And then we'll have the mayor's Thanksgiving Day dinner, which will be Thursday, November 17th at 5:30 p.m. at the Betty T. Ferguson Recreational Complex. There's no charge. First come, first serve. We want to be able to feed as many people as we can. So come out and enjoy a great Thanksgiving Day meal and have a good time. As you know, this is our last council meeting until December. So Thanksgiving is around the corner. I wish everyone the best this Thanksgiving season. And remember what Thanksgiving and Christmas and the whole holiday season is for. It's about loving each other and taking care of each other. So let's continue to do that. And I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Show the meeting adjourned.
I'm not a vice mayor.
Listen, I'm saying, you lucky I looked around.
Yeah, you already in it.
I'm trying to tell